Hi everybody, and thanks for joining me today. So, doing some more work on the lighthouse today, I think. Yeah, I've been doing the background and it kind of just outlined the roof line there of the lighthouse. So, if you hear in the background, that's my husband. He's home ill today, so yeah, he's been sort of fighting off some cold or something, I don't know, for the last few days. Swab test said it wasn't COVID, so there's that at least. Okay, I'm just gonna see how much of this color we use for a bit. Well, I don't have many spaces being used on my working tray, so I may just, take this out for now. Usually that's not enough sort of stitches for me to bother having it out in my tray, but there are not very many colors here, so having it in my tray kind of saves a little bit of time rather than having to search for the envelope, pull out the thread, put the envelope back. Yeah, so yeah, still no snow. We've had some morning frost, but that's been it. The wild bunny who visits our yard is completely white right now, and the poor thing, he stands out a mile. Usually we have snow by now for him to hide in, but yeah, so far not this year. So yeah, I posted a picture of him, and somebody said, oh, the poor coyote bait. Yeah, because they turn brown in the summer and then they get white and more fur in the winter to stay warm, and usually so they can camouflage. But yeah, right now nature is not cooperating. But yeah, he's hiding in the drain hole in our yard as usual. Yeah, he likes to, because he can kind of hide in there and then just sort of peek over the edge. Makes him feel a little safer, I guess. It's funny sometimes because if I pass him when I'm on my walk, he'll jump out of the drain hole, run down the street a bit, wait for me to go by, and then he will go right back in. And when I come home from my walk, he's back in the same spot. So yeah, he really likes that spot. We used to actually have a tree there, but it was close enough to the house that we were afraid the roots were going to crack the foundation. So we cut it down, and he used to hide under the tree. And then, so he didn't come back for a couple of years after we cut that tree down. And then he started showing up again, so. And then we also have our bay window in the living room. It kind of makes an overhang, and he likes to hide underneath, especially in the summer when I haven't kept up with the weeds in the front. He likes to hide in there and have a snack. Yeah, so that's why when I do spray them, I use vinegar and salt and nothing toxic. Okay. But yeah, we didn't have snow, but it was icy enough that I had to be very careful on my walk, and I ended up walking on the grass beside the sidewalk for quite a few places because it was, yeah, icy, and I didn't want to go flying. And now my thigh muscles are kind of sore because I guess it's a different motion of walking, and yeah, so it's not so bad. But I noticed I had to run a few errands this morning when I was driving. Yeah, my thigh muscles were definitely sore. I noticed when I was working the gas and the brakes there. But yeah, I got the Christmas gifts shipped out. So that is done. And that way I could pay only regular mail. Man, Canada's parcel post is expensive. It wasn't a very big box. And it's like 30, and not very heavy. And it's like $30. Like, it's wild. It is cheaper for me to ship something, you know, to Florida, so to the US, and all the way to the opposite coast than it is for me to ship stuff to my family one province away. Yeah. Yeah, that's one problem in Canada. A lot of times you end up paying more for shipping than you do for the actual thing that you're ordering itself. And then you also have to be careful too, because we get dinged for import fees on a lot of stuff. So, yeah. Oh, I was so frustrated one time. I bought a set of DVDs and the seller marked them as software. And so I ended up paying import fees. And I left a note saying, you know, I was a little annoyed at that. You know, the product was in good condition, but I ended up paying like an extra $20 in import fees because of how they labeled it. And they said, well, DVDs is software. Like, no, dude. Software is like Excel, Word, a computer program. You know, a CD or a DVD is a read-only memory. It's not software. And they argued with me, and it's like, okay, fine, call it software if you want to, but I ain't ever ordering from you again, because it's not. And yeah, the customs agent took their word for it that was software and charged me duties based on it, because I have never ever paid import duties on DVDs before, ever. Doesn't matter where I get them from, because the people labeled them as, you know, videos, not as freaking software. So yeah, I was not happy. Because the whole reason I had ordered it from this seller was that it was cheaper than buying a brand new one, and it still worked. Well, in the end, after I paid all the import duties, I might as well have just bought the brand new one. Yeah, I was not thrilled. So yeah, plus our exchange rate is just terrible. I think right now a US dollar is like $1.46 Canadian or something ridiculous like that. Yeah. So I do try to shop locally when I can, but I mean, sometimes there's just things you cannot get, you know, in country. Where it's kind of nice, eBay has this service now that where you can pay any import fees up front, so you know what it is, because yeah, sometimes you don't know until it gets to your door, and it's, you know, pay on delivery. And I mean, what are you gonna do? Not pay the $30 or whatever when it's a $200 item, you know? Like, yeah. So yeah, it kind of ticks me off that it's not up front, because you don't know. It's a gamble then. So that's one nice thing, that eBay has this for certain sellers, yeah, that you can pay the import duties up front. Yeah, it's really up to the whim of the customs agent too. Like, you can order the exact same thing from the same seller and not pay an import fee, and then the next time you do, yeah, just, it's up to their discretion. So it's a bit of a gamble. So yeah, I'm kind of filling in this bit here, and then I'm going to go back up to the top and start filling in that roof line there. I think that didn't, oh yeah, that's correct. It looked a little bit off, and it was. It went right next to the hole in the fabric and not actually through it, which is not what we want to do. Okay, so I have a couple of threads of this color. Okay, just gonna see. This is a nice long one. Okay. Yeah, I got all my kiddos' presents wrapped as well, so that's all done. And I was right, I did buy too much stuff for the stocking. Yeah, so. Yeah, I remember there was one year I was in high school band class, and to pay for our band trips we had to participate in fundraising, and one year that involved doing Christmas wrapping at the mall. So yeah, I must have wrapped like 500 presents that year. Yeah, it was wild. In the beginning of December there's hardly anyone, so you spend the whole time assembling boxes, and because they would be shipped to us flat, and then yeah, you would have to assemble them, and then making bows with ribbons on them and stuff, and yeah, and you had to yeah, we had to use like sticky notes or whatever and stick them to the bow saying what was in the gift, so people knew which one was what if they brought multiple gifts. But even so, things got mixed up one time. There was a guy who bought like clothes, and somehow it got mixed up with somebody's Lego, so he went to put it under the tree and it rattled, and it was like, okay, this is a sweater, it shouldn't it shouldn't rattle, you know. Oh. Luckily, that wasn't me. That was someone else who mixed that up pretty badly. I don't know if they managed to get it sorted, but yeah, it was quite a kerfuffle. Yeah, there was one where a guy, he paid extra to have something wrapped in a giant box with tons and tons of layers because his sister had done that to him the year before, so yeah. He wanted his revenge, but he didn't want to do the job of wrapping it, so yeah. Oh, it was funny. My husband said when they were kids, they loved trying to disguise the wrapping of what was in the present, and he said so he bought his brother a gift card, but then he went down to the river near their house, and he got this huge rock that he said weighed like, you know, 10 pounds or something. And he put that in the box with it and wrapped it. You know, his brother like, what the heck did you buy me? You know, it's so heavy. I hope it isn't anything too expensive. Yeah. Yeah, they did some pretty creative ones. There was one who made it look like a teapot when it was definitely not a teapot, and someone who said it made it look like a set of bagpipes just as a joke, and yeah, it was quite funny. Yeah, that was when they lived up in Hope, BC, which is up in the mountain. Yeah, and they said they had there was a big river that carries the spring runoff from the mountains down to the Fraser Valley, and they said they had this big rock in the middle that almost looked like a lion on it, and yeah, they really liked it. But then they said one year we had flooding, and it flooded so high that it actually broke the rock, so yeah, they were quite sad. My husband and I, we buy our own gifts, so we get exactly what we want. And this year he got himself a 3D printer. Well, I mean, he's been saving up his spending money for a while, and so yeah, he decided to, with his Christmas money, he had enough to buy it. And yes, so I bugged him. I said, are you gonna wrap it and stick it under the tree? He's like, no, because he's always bugging me to do that. Last year I bought myself my overhead crafting lamp, and he's like, you should put it under the tree. I said, no, I want to use it. So I took the box and I stuck a bow on it and I stuck it under the tree and said, good enough. So yeah, then I was bugging him, aren't you going to stick it under the tree? But yeah, it was a heavy thing, but yeah. And then he hasn't been able to use it yet because he's building a big venting cover for it, because you don't want the plastic fumes, you know, you don't want to be breathing those in. So he's been building a vent cover that then will vent that out to outside. So he hasn't been able to use it yet. And he says, yeah, it's kind of frustrating because he's like, I have to buy these parts, and like I could 3D print the parts, but I can't until I get the vent cover made, right? And I said, it's kind of like when you can buy those shears that are made to cut through those difficult to open packages, and it says on it like, never struggle to open packages again. I'm like, well, at least one more time, because the shears are inside the package. So so after this, don't struggle to open packages. But yeah, you still have to struggle at least one more time. I think that might have been threaded, and I just undid it, but oh well. So yeah, I don't know if I'm catching whatever my other half has. I have been more tired, and my throat has been feeling a little off. If I sound a little hoarse, that's why. But so far I've been okay. Fingers crossed. And so has our son, so. Okay. Right, I can see I'm gonna have to do a bit of either do out of order or do a single stitch part, then another stitch part. Okay. All right, I have some shorter pieces, so I'm going to use separate threads. Okay, so instead of one long one. Okay, let's see. Just double checking with my grid lines there, so that I don't put this in the wrong place. Okay, just double checking there's no knots back there. This is the one I didn't leave threaded because it's so short. Only got one strand, that won't work. Okay. All right, I can just barely squeak out one last stitch with this one. But yeah, it's a pretty tight squeeze. All right, so yeah, I used up a short piece there. Now I'll start a longer piece here. Yeah, saying about there being frost in the morning. Yeah, my car door was frozen shut. Ugh. It's not even that cold, but I guess it was humid enough that, yeah. Took a bit to get the door open. So yeah, I had to go to the post office to mail presents. Okay, what I'm going to actually do, let's work with the shorter pieces first. Okay. This is at the point where I'm getting almost too many to be able to tease those out without having a tangle. Yeah, I was saying I was kind of so efficient yesterday, getting so much done, wrapping presents, made some cookies, all this other stuff, and then yeah, I sat down to stitch finally and realized my energy was just completely gone. My brain was mush. So I got maybe 30 stitches done, and then I was just like, I can't anymore. If I keep stitching, I'm just gonna mess things up and leave myself with a, yeah, big problem to fix tomorrow. So yeah, decided to quit for the day. Okay, I said I'm almost at too many needles, but pretty soon I'm going to be able to tie off some threads here, and then I won't have quite so many. Yeah, it's just one reason why I've never done a max color. I don't want to deal with that many threads. I find the regular amount of colors has been enough for my personal preference. The details are good. Well, really, max color doesn't give you more details, it just gives you more subtle shading. Yeah, the difference with more details is when you get into different sizes. Like they say the minis lose about 30% of the detail because they're like 30% smaller or something. Yeah, and there's a few patterns that they said they didn't do mini for simply because the original has so many details and too much they feel would be lost in trying to shrink it down. So yeah, I think it really depends. I've seen some minis that I wouldn't even have known they weren't the regular size because they look so good. I think it's when you sort of have one main focal piece in the pattern, like somebody did one where it was like one big fairy in the center and then background around it. So yeah, it really didn't lose much detail. Whereas a busier pattern, like say one of Amy Stewart's would be, yeah, would lose some detail because she has so many little details in her pieces. Yeah, that's why some of her patterns are like over 1 million stitches. when people pick the super size. Just like, wow. They actually have Facebook groups just for stitching her work because it is so much amazing detail. Like the bookshelf ones, yeah. Yeah, there we go. So ending off another needle here, and then another in a minute. A fair number of purples here, and I don't want them to, the ends to come popping up through. So that's why I'm doing more drawing across the back today than I normally do. I use pin stitches the most. They are my favorite. Yeah, so here's another thread that I'm going to finish off. So yeah, now we have only about 3 live needles, so I didn't have to reset. Thread suddenly got an inch shorter, so I knew there had to be a knot on the back. Luckily, it was easy to pull out. Okay. to work down here a little bit, then I'm going to go back up to the top of this section for a bit. One more stitch out of that later when I get to that spot. It's just going to shred apart if I don't trim it. There we go. Yeah, that can happen when the ends get kind of fuzzy. It can be hard to thread everything through the eye properly, and then the more you try to pull it through the eye, the more it just splits. It's no good. Couldn't get my fabric perfectly taut in the frame, but good enough, I figure. Yeah, I bought some replacement clamps for my Q-snap because they were getting kind of loose, and well, I actually have technically an off-brand Q-snap. It's not the official one, and so the official snaps are, putting them on is a little bit different. They have grip inside. They have ridges inside, which the off-brand ones I have don't. So yeah, I find the process of putting it together is slightly different and affects the grip, but it's good enough. So yeah, like I said, I was going to fill in that corner there and then go back up to the top. So that is what I am doing now. And then the roof kind of goes here, and then the colors kind of slant out that way, and I may, as per usual, decide to follow the curve there or not. We'll see. Yeah, it looks like we got a bunch of new colors coming up here. That's a short piece, and I don't think it would have stayed threaded, so. Brand new color, never used before, but just for this project. Yeah, I'm gonna start adding needles again. Okay, oh, and then 919. And this one I have used already on the other peak of the lighthouse. Apparently this is a color that gets used quite a bit in this pattern though. Almost over 3,800 left, so it's probably in some of the wood further down in this picture. The banister and stuff, I think, and maybe a bit on some peacock feather too. Yeah, it's got kind of the brownish underside. Oh goodness, I don't even know how I managed to all, there we go, tangled up. Didn't want to make a nice smooth loop for the loop start. There, that's better. Okay. Look at that, we're at 77775. So do 2 more stitches and we'll be all 7s. Yeah, one time on a project I was at 66664, and my husband says, you know, you want to go watch TV? And I said, well, I got to do 2 more stitches now so that it's all 6s. He's like, oh, of course. Yeah, he understood completely. So 7, 6. Yeah, I remember catching when I got to 100,000, but I missed it precisely, and it was like 100,002. It was like, ah, oh, darn. So I could screenshot this, but I'm not gonna. Just kind of like noticing when it reaches interesting numbers like that. There, 77,777 done. Woohoo! But yeah, we'll stitch for a little longer, I think. So far, I am not going out of my diagonal slant for the moment, but I may change that coming up. We'll see. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I just kind of decide as I go along. This is the part that kind of slows things down. It's the confetti. Yeah. Well, no matter how you stitch, yeah, confetti is going to go slower than bigger blocks. But yeah, when we get to the peacock's chest, that's gonna zip by because it's like 4 colors over several hundred stitches. So Okay, I had a feeling this was a short piece. Yeah, I plan to add a longer one later when I get to that area. Okay, so I think I got some short pieces I can use up here. Yeah, that'll be perfect. Darn it. Oh, rats. I was hoping both strands I had managed to get to go through the fabric before the needle came out, but nope. Okay, so I have one strand part down here. Yeah, that should be long enough for the 2 stitches there. This one is a nice long piece, so I'm gonna go down around this curve and back up to the top rather than add another one. So I'll do these. be careful. This grid line kind of got pulled out of place a bit, so yeah, I have to watch it doesn't mix me up. That is one drawback of the sewn on ones. Like I said, I may in the future invest in some pre-gridded fabric. Looking at everything, I might as well do this one, since then I can tie it off. Actually may just park it over here. It's a little further than, but since it's a single stitch by itself, yeah. I'm just gonna do a pin stitch here to tack this down. There. Tie it off later. Oh, wait, there's a fair amount of this color coming up, so put that in the tray. So I won't take that out into the tray. Just keep it in the envelopes for now. This one I already have out. Okay, I think I'll attach one more color and then that's where I'm gonna take a break because I'm starting to get hungry. Need to fix myself some lunch. Okay, so make sure I mark what I did or I will get lost. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me today and I hope to see you here next time. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.